Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's episode of The Stone Cold Truth with Stephen Austin. I'm Austin Hilliker. Beside me is Stephen McGrain. We'll be filling you in on everything you need to know about sports. Steve, why don't you start it off?
Baseball, who, as we mentioned, last weekend beat Linfield, who was preseason ranked number 4 in the country, and they won the series, so now they vaulted themselves in the 23 spot in the nation. And they just completely dominated.
You split Saturday, come out, grab a win on Sunday, you finish it going 2-1 overall. Pacific drops down to 1-6, 0-4 in conference. PLU, our Lutes 9-3, and then 3-1 in conference. Pretty quiet the first day for the first couple innings. There was only 1 point scored within the first 4 innings, but then PLU kind of put it on towards the end, scoring 1 in the 9th, and also, as I said, 1 in the 3rd, as opposed to Pacific's only 1 point in the 5th.
And just looking at it, game came down to the 9th inning. You had Ben Welch, who was intentionally walked, coming towards the end of it. Brett Johnson advanced to second, and then the catcher, Curtis Wildung, came in, flew out to center field, sacrifice fly, but he got the RBI, bringing Bo Pearson home with 2 outs. But then that was enough to clinch the game, and PLU won 2-1.
The second game was not as good for the Lutes. Pacific ended up turning their bats real hot. 13-6, PLU falls. Pacific had scored 2 in the first, 1 in the second, 3 in the third, and 7 in the 6th. PLU could just not come back. Pacific ends up going 13 runs, 19 hits, no errors, while PLU could only manage 6 runs and 8 hits. On that day, Pacific ended up going 2 for 6, 1 and 4 in conference. PLU 9-4, 3 and 2 in conference.
The most glaring fact was the 11 hits that Pacific was able to put up on them. Now, that was Saturday. Sunday,
A little different story.
Tables kind of turned just a little bit. As the Lutes won 14-0, they got 6 in the first, 3 runs in the second, 2 in the fourth, 2 in the fifth, 1 in the sixth. And then that's all she wrote. They didn't score any others, but Pacific did not do any damage as well. And with that win, PLU goes to 10-4 overall, 4-2 in league play, and Pacific falls to 2-7, 1-5 in league play.
Yeah, it was kind of unreal. As I said, you have that phenom sophomore Ben Welch going 3 for 4 on the day, Tanner Williams going 1 for 4, Jacob Clements going 2 for 5. Colin Nilsson going 3 for 4, Tyler Thompson 2 for 4. Just some of the names. Our second baseman Landon Packer going 1 for 1, Drew Ord going 2 for 3, and even Curtis Wildung, our catcher, going 2 for 5. To have that kind of production out of your bats, scoring 14 points in the day, unreal for the Lutes. That's usually not something you kind of see. Of course, you do play the full 9 innings. PLU didn't have to hit the 9th because of the convincing 14 points that they already put up. So to get 17 hits on the day out of 14 runs, yeah, they did have 1 error, but just an unreal batting day for the Lutes. Something that's, kind of exciting to see what they're going to do in these next couple games.
All around, great performance, and I mean, it was great to pick up that series win against Pacific.
Kind of moving on, we see that our men's tennis team, they kind of had struggled over the weekend. On February 28th, they did play George Fox at Sprinker. As long as Pacific as well on March 1st. They lost both matches 9-0. Not the best time for the Lutes to fall. As I said, George Fox in that first round of games 9, PLU 0. Singles competition was struggling a little bit. Chris Lilly from George Fox beat our Sam Stater 6-4, 6-2. James Okabu fell 6-1, 6-3 to George Fox's Andrew Yu. Noel Otang Menish fell 6-1, 6-1 against Spencer Wantabe of George Fox. Alberto Leal fell 1-6, 6-1, 6-1. Jeremy Marsh lost 6-2, 6-3. And then to kind of finish it up in singles competition, Chris Erkila 6-1 and 6-0. Just not a great day for Lutes. Kind of moving on to doubles competition. We were defeated in every single one of those as well. PLU lost with Sam Stater and James Okabu lost to Spencer Wantabe and Andrew Yu, 8-3. Jeremy Marsh and Noel Oteng Mensah fell 8-6 to Chase Stalcup and Chris Liley. Alberto Leal and Chris Ercola fell 8-0 to Vincent Viloria and Nicholas Grafton. Match notes, kind of looking overall. George Fox 3-1, 2-1 in Northwest Conference. PLU is now 1-3, 1-2 in Northwest Conference.
Women's tennis from the past weekend on Saturday, February 28th. They lost at George Fox 8-1. And then yesterday on Sunday, March 1st, they lost at Pacific 6-3. Their away road trip to Portland came up 0-2, dropping their overall record to 0-4 and 0-4 in conference as well. Sarah Tumler defeated Caroline Dewar in singles competition of PLU. Chantel Hadid of George Fox beat Allison McClure. Taylor Barnes beat Megan Byers. Katrina Kwong beat Emily Bauer of PLU. Emily Bernsterboyer defeated Andrea Motley, and Allie Deal defeated Stephanie Baker, and that was in singles competition. And then doubles, I mean, George Fox just kind of ran the table and defeated the Lute's women's tennis team as well. So kind of a rough outing for the women's tennis. They are back at home this weekend on the 7th and 8th against Willamette and College of Idaho, beginning at 1 o'clock on Saturday against Willamette. Lute softball.
Yeah, I know. You kind of look at the score. It was 3-1, and the Lutes did fall. PLU actually was winning the majority of the game. We were up 1-0 at the top of the 6th, and once it became the bottom of the 6th, that's when kind of the Bruins, or the George Fox Bruins, kind of put a beating on us. They ended up scoring 3 runs in that inning. PLU came back on the top of the 7th, couldn't get anything happening. Game automatically gets over. PLU had 1 run and 5 hits and 1 error. That error kind of set them over the edge. Obviously, we saw that George Fox only had, they had more, my apologies. They had 9 hits on 3 runs, so they made the most out of their opportunities.
I just want to keep on going. Typically, especially in that first weekend, we saw when they played, St. Martin's came up here in Northwest and played against the Lutes at home. You saw the first inning, it was rough. The opposition, the bats were hot, things were just flying everywhere. They scored some runs, and the Lutes started in a hole early on. Now, something we kind of saw this weekend, just looking at that George Fox game, the Lutes scored 1 run in the 3rd inning, and then George Fox put up 3 in the last inning.
Yeah.
In the 6th, and then they didn't even have to hit in the 7th because the Lutes didn't do any damage.
That the second game that the Lutes played on Saturday was not as great. Leah Butters came in to pitch. She ended up only pitching 1.1 innings, gave up 5 hits, 7 earned runs, struck out 2, and gave up 3 home runs in the process. PLU actually had scored 1 run in the first. George Fox came, tied it up 1-1. PLU put up 4 in the second, but then George Fox came up and put 7 in the second. Nobody scored in the third. George Fox came back in the 7th and put another 7-point run on the Lutes. Final score ended up being 15-5 after the game was cut short after being the 10-run rule in the 5th inning.
I mean, George Fox is a good team. They're 6-2 right now, 2-0 overall in conference play, and that's probably the biggest thing looking at the games against St. Martin's and Northwest. It's non-conference. But then when you start playing these George Foxes and Pacific, that's where it really matters when it comes to the Northwest and how things are going to shape out later on in the long run.
Yeah, moving along to Sunday, the Lutes were able to grab 2 from the Pacific Boxers. Final score of that first game was 7-6. The first inning, PLU didn't get anything going. Pacific had to put up 3 points. PLU came back, scored another 1 point in the second inning, 2 in the third, and 4 in the fourth. Ended up finishing the game, as I said, 7-6.
And this is one that you kind of had to watch because the Lutes did a great job all the way throughout. They got 1 in the 3rd inning. They got 2 in the 6th, and then 1 in the 7th. But next thing you know, Pacific, who's 9-5, now 2-2 in conference play. I mean, they made it interesting coming down to the end.
Miller was able to clutch up, get the game-winning few pitches. Lute's come out on top. Capitalized on 3 Pacific errors.
With that, the PLU girls are now 3-5 overall with a 1-3 home record, 2-2 away, and 2-2 in conference. So after dropping 2 to George Fox on Saturday, they come back and win 2 against Pacific. 2 big wins, and they needed it. Next week, they are going over the mountains. They're playing at Whitworth both days. They got a 4-game set against the Pirates.